Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to number 13 Backstage at Jubilee Theatre. It is a wonder and a blessing to be back with you again. And yes, I'm D. Wambui Richardson, Executive Artistic Director here at Jubilee Theatre, now in season 45, doing great things and moving forward. Now, usually, I'm up here with my counterpart, the one and only Miss Kenya Brown. Now, things are a lot. It's February. And a lot's going on here in the month of February. So we give you a brief church announcement. So even as we speak right now, Ms. Kenya and our team is working on our staged reading for I'll Be Damned If. This is paid for in part by the Amy G. Carter Foundation. This is our second staged reading of the show, and we will have a free showing of the staged reading on February the 23rd, Monday, February 23rd at 7 o'clock here at Jubilee Theatre. That's why she's not up here with me. She's downstairs working in that staged reading. That's number one. Number two, we are coming to you live from the set of Hype Man, a breakbeat play that is on stage right here at Jubilee Theatre. And in a moment, I'm going to be introducing you to our special guest of the day. And thirdly, we have now in pre-production for our gospel musical, Attest to Testimony, an original musical based upon the sermons of God's Trombone. So as you can see, there's a lot going on backstage at Jubilee Theatre. So please, ma'am and sirs, govern yourselves accordingly. Be on the lookout for jubileetheater.org. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and all those other great places that I do not follow yet, but I'm trying to get better at. Amen? Now, beautiful people, I have the blessing and the joy of being joined with one of the three actors that is in this phenomenal show here at Jubilee Theatre, on stage now until the 28th of the month. It is a blessing to introduce you to the one and only Dylan Todd.
Thank you for having me.
It is a blessing to have you.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Of course.
Now, before we get into these questions, there's a thing that my counterpart does, because she know I'll be ready to dig into these questions.
Sure.
But her first question is always going to be, so who is you? Who are you?
Who is you?
Where you been?
Dylan Todd. I'm an actor in Dallas-Fort Worth. I'm originally from Madison, Wisconsin, but I've lived in Fort Worth for about going on 7 years now. So I've been here for a while now, and I'm an actor. I have experience in stage combat. I'm a fight choreographer. I've done everything from films to theater to commercials, all kinds of stuff.
I love it. Now, we're going to have to talk a little bit later about this fight choreography.
For sure.
Because I'm also looking at bringing some classes here to Jubilee Theatre.
Okay,
And there are not enough certified fight choreographers in the state of Texas.
Hey, well,
So,
call me up.
So we're going to be talking about that offline.
Love that.
Now, before we get started, what brought you to this play, Hype Man?
Well, so I didn't find it. It kind of found me. So Charles Jackson, who's the director of the show, he reached out to me. I think it was back in December. And I was like, that was the season of auditioning like crazy. I was auditioning for all kinds of companies, films, all stuff. None of them was landing. And then literally out of thin air, Charles texts me, emails me. And he says, hey, we have this show called Hype Man. It's at Jubilee Theatre. He was telling me all the stuff, what it's about and what the role is and all this. And I was kind of like, okay, wow, this is not anything I've ever done before. I'm used to doing, musical theater or, just like Shakespeare or something. So this was just something very different. It was a blessing for sure, because it was a challenge. It was a character I'd never played before. And so I just decided to send in an audition tape. And then the next day he casted me on the show. So it's really fun.
Now, this is a special note to all of the actors out there. Jubilee Theatre, we maintain and we keep up with our jot form. And so please, that's how we were able to find Brother Todd. We were first in our jot form. We went through looking for, certain characteristics, certain styles,
Sure.
Who does musicals, who doesn't do musicals. So even if you don't see something for yourself, understand that by being in a theater's directory, it puts you on the line for consideration. by having guest directors coming in, and Charles is no guest director. He just family at this point. But
very much.
having the access to that directory gave us the ability to create a list of people to reach out to. So never be discouraged about being in the theater's directory.
And that's crazy because I auditioned for y'all. Shoot, that was probably 4 or 5 years ago. It was when y'all did like a kind of like a Fort Worth group audition, and it was like Circle Theater was there, then y'all and Amphibian, and like so there's a bunch of different things. So I think that's how I made that introduction. But years went by, I never thought anything of it, and and then sure enough, they said, "Oh, we found you in your database." I'm like, "What?"
Because I don't
years. That's
it's
great.
there for a reason.
I love that.
The only time it gets frustrating is, when you look at the database and you look for an actor, I'm like, oh, they've relocated. They're in L.A., they're in New York, they're in Chicago. But it's great to have that because when these types of projects come up, how do we find those new faces?
Right.
And I'm always looking for how do we bring new faces, new energy to the space to grow them and to expand upon the audience of Jubilee Theatre.
Absolutely.
So it was a great to have you.
Yeah.
So with that, this show is a roller coaster of emotions and pivotal questions in the world today. As we talk about music, as we talk about activism, and the self-awareness that we as artists have.
Sure.
And when to use it, when not to use it.
Right.
Is it necessary to always feel like you have to do it? All of those are questions that this show grapples with. For you in coming into this show, first, disclaimer, because this happens to me anytime I walk into a space and I'm asked to interview somewhere or ask questions, and when I'm the only person of color in the room, sometimes I end up feeling like I have to tell them I am not the Negro representative for all people black. Okay? The same applies to Brother Dylan Todd.
Yep.
He is not the representative of all
For
white artists.
for every redhead in this country.
Not every redhead. These are his opinions as an artist.
Sure.
And we honor that, and we respect that, and we're here to hear it.
Love that.
So for you as an artist, what was, in reading the script and your approach to the script, what were some red flags for you in the show, and what were the joys for you in this show?
The joy was trying something completely new. I'm no stranger to new work. I love doing new stuff. I love doing stuff that nobody's really ever heard of before. But for me, like reading it firsthand, it was like, oh, there's a lot of stuff here. There's a lot of contextual stuff. There's a lot of course, music, and there's a lot of conversations that are happening right now in the world today. And so to see all of that on text, I was really excited to like get it on its feet and to kind of just see where it goes, and seeing how the other actors like read the text, how they portray it in their own brains. I would say the red flag for me was, man, this character is very I don't even know how to describe it. He's very stubborn in his ways. He's stubborn in his opinions, and they're very closed-minded. So that, and I'm not really a closed-minded person whatsoever. I'm always open to different interpretations, different points of view, and this guy's not. And so that was this was like, I was like, oh, how do I play this in the sense that it's not going to come across as angry the whole time, but also bring layers to it? So
Let him be human.
make him human, yeah. Because I mean, if there's one thing I learned from like the more I worked with this text is that there are a lot of pinnacles out in the world, and there are a lot, especially within the artist realm, there's a lot of pinnacles who feel like the way he feels in the play. So it was not only challenging in the sense to layer him, but also to bring his voice to life, because there are a lot of people that have his opinions and have his voice in this world. So that was a fun challenge for sure.
And the character we're talking about is the character.
Yes, Pinnacle in the show. Yes, yes.
And for you as an actor and approaching Pinnacle, how did you feel about approaching not just the character, but the musical approach to him and the emotional parts of him to make him balanced?
So as far as the musical parts, that was a whole different lesson to learn for sure. Because I'm not, as you can probably tell, I'm not really someone who raps. So that was,
But you made it work. You
yeah,
made it work.
you know, and like but that was my biggest thing whenever I read it firsthand. Well, shoot, even when like Charles gave me the audition, I was sitting there being like, I don't want to sound ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's like I don't want to come across in this in the sense that it's just painfully obvious this is a white guy like doing it amateurly. So I as far as the musical part of it, I've always been good about learning music stuff. So like learning it was never hard. It's the presence. It's the breath work. The breath work was a whole different thing I wasn't ready for, because it's sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slow, and it's all talking, but it's you know, it was a fun challenge to not only challenge myself vocally, but also to learn the rhythm of this, learn the beats, the you know, just all of it. That was I would say musically that was the hardest challenging part. And then as far as just like personality wise, like it was there were certain moments in the script where I feel like this is a moment where he could be a little more empathetic. Like the moments when he's talking about his relationship with Verb, one of the characters in the show, that is something everybody can relate to. That is like, you know,
On a human level.
on a human
and we're
level,
supposed to be friends.
for sure.
Yeah.
And it's a brotherhood in the sense that they look at each other as family. And so that, I mean, of course I can relate to that. I have a lot of close people in my life who aren't necessarily family, but feel like family. And to put that into it, I felt gave it a little more humanization towards, you know, the character, instead of it just being an angry white guy the whole time. Because it's easy to do that, but and I didn't want it to be that.
It goes flat, and then the audience loses interest, and you're like, why?
Right, and then the story is gone, because that's the biggest thing. That was my main focus. Is like I want to give the story the justice it deserves, and in order to do that, I need to put my own stuff aside to kind of really just focus on the story and not how I feel about the certain thing. So yeah.
And what I love and what is interesting about this show, and I think when an audience comes in, what they're not expecting is it's a hip hop play, breakbeat play. There's a lot of rap and music and movement, but the lead character, or the character that's doing all of the rapping, is you.
Yeah, which is, you know, that's a whole different thing. I mean, Charles and I talked a lot about that. Was his goal throughout all of it, and Chris Murdoch, who was the rap consultant.
Yeah.
One thing we both really wanted to work on is to make sure that the audience walks away making sure that it's believable, and that, as Charles said, man, that white guy did it. You know, like that.
Yeah.
So that sense of like, I don't want people to look at it being like, oh, look at this guy. I want them to be like, whoa, okay, he did something there. He showed off. Like, I remember one audience member from our opening weekend, he came up to me and he said, "You were believable." And I was like,
Thank you.
yes, that's what I wanted. I wanted people to say that it was believable, or I wanted it to come across that was way, at least. But yeah, it's intimidating being the main guy that has to rap in a theater company of Jubilee Theatre, and being in I don't know. I felt a sort of responsibility and a sort of, in a sense of, sense of responsibility to really just, not only do my research, but to really give it the justice it deserves as far as the music of it all. So, yeah.
Another question becomes and is also the crust of what is happening in the show. It is that internal conversation of participation versus appropriation. And when you walk into a space that is, viewed as a black genre, and you have a face that is not, that is the stereotype of that genre, walking into it, is there for you as the actor and as the character, the approach to owning that role and being in that space and genre versus am I posing in it or is this authentic to me?
Yeah. I would say, honestly, owning it is probably for me the best. As an actor, that was the best way to come across it because I've had a love for the art of hip hop since I was in middle school. So that was not anything new for me. I've already had such an appreciation of the music and the culture of of hip hop itself. So that wasn't really hard for me to just like grasp onto. So I think for me it was like you just like own what this is, own the character, own that he feels that this is what he's meant to do and that he thinks hip hop is about the skill level. And for me, that's all I focused on was the skill level of it, while also not, trying to outshine anything else within the context of the play because, you got Verb, who's the hype man, he's doing his stuff, and then Peeps the beat, so that it's a team effort but also making sure that you're doing your work just enough to make sure it all seems like it's one unit instead of just one person carrying everybody else.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed.
yeah.
Love it. And so as the show is going on, and I love the opening scene because it really sets the tone for who the three of you are.
For sure.
One of you is the heartbeat, one of you is the pulse, one of you is the voice.
Yeah.
And it comes across in this very beautiful way until something happens in the world.
Right.
And that's when we go into those deeper questions of, as an artist, when do we take our art and make it applicable to the world and address things happening in the world versus I just want to be an artist and do I have to make a statement on everything?
Right.
So for you, what's that approach for you?
I think it's so hard because I struggled with for a long time not knowing what exactly my voice was and what kind of art I wanted to push out to the public and, be a part of.
Yep.
I think for me, that was like especially in my early 20s, that was the hardest thing I think I had to learn was doing stuff for the sake of just, it's a job is a job is a job. Like or in the sense that like, I'm doing this because this is my passion. This is what I was meant to do. But then what I'm seeing a lot of nowadays is that, we're living in a very weird, scary, confusing time. And I feel like art is more important than anything right now. And so I feel if it's a culture that you are a part of, that you are being welcomed into, just like me being welcomed into this culture, it's your responsibility as the outsider to respect and appreciate the work and respect and appreciate the perspectives of where other people are coming from. And I'm one of those people. I've always been the kind of person that likes to listen and engage and always think of a different perspective than my own. And I know that's not the same for a lot of people, but for me at the very least, like I'll take any information. I'm in like information bubble. I will suck in any information, any perspective, any history. Like I've always just kind of that's for me as an actor, that is always my easiest good trait, that I can look from outside of myself. And I think as an artist nowadays, especially when you're doing a show like this, it is my job as a white person to not throw my own opinion into the mix all the time and thinking like, oh, because I'm the artist, because I'm, I have the skills, I've done the research, I've had the training, that, it's this and this alone. Well, it doesn't have to be. It could be like multiple different things. And that was one thing we did a lot in rehearsals was, I would listen to all kinds of stories that, the cast and the creatives would talk about as far as their life experiences. And that helps me not only understand them as artists and creatives to help the collaboration of it all, it also helps me as the character see, okay, so this is that kind of story you're talking about and that kind of story that you have experienced that I can bring into, the meat and the texture of what were the message was bringing across in the story. So
I love it.
yeah.
The other piece of that is from the outside world, from the audience that is, not necessarily just about this show, but as artist to artist and artist to community, that approach to wanting to address something in an authentic way versus it coming off as virtual signaling.
Sure. Yeah.
How do you find the balance in I'm talking on this particular issue for a reason because it affects me or it affects the people around me, and not the community going, oh, you're just jumping on the next hot topic.
Sure. And I'm never been a kind of person that likes to jump on something because it's trending. I like to, especially if it's somebody that I'm, representing or I am supportive of and that is within my close world. And especially for this kind of show, my job is to bring everybody else up, because I have said since the beginning of this process, this show, Hype Man, this show doesn't work without the three of us and all of our weight and all of our stories. And if I'm only just focusing on myself and I'm only focusing on my role and my character and what he feels within the process, then it's not going to work, because then we're not all on the same page, because I have to have that understanding from everybody else's points of view. And I think when you're tackling an issue like this, it's your job to be vocal about it. And it is your job to make more people aware that, like, hey, what's happening is not okay. But at the same time, you also have to learn to take the step back and to let the people who have actually experienced that tell their experiences, because then if it's just you talking the whole time, then it's just like, okay, now you're just someone who wants it to be all about you. And because it's not about me, it's about it's about everything else. And it's about, especially for a show like this, it's not just about me. Yes, I'm the guy who raps. I'm on stage a lot, but it's just
there's a community around you.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's a rhythm coming from Pete. There's a voice coming from Hype that feeds the greater whole.
It feeds into all of it, because we're telling this story together, and it's just the three of us the whole time. I mean, that's why I like 3-person shows, is because, when you're in like a big show with like 8 to 20 people, it's more of an ensemble. But when it's just 3 people, it's just that energy. And like, if one of us is lacking energy, and if the one of us is trying to outshine somebody else, it don't work. It don't work.
And
because
it reads across the
And
floor.
it reads, And so that was, I think that, like, especially towards the end, like before we opened, it was definitely like, okay, my responsibility, I know what I need to do, but my responsibility is to make sure everybody else is on that same level and is is on the same page. So, yeah.
Now, the tricky part in all of this is, as an artist, and not just as an artist, but in our everyday lives, in paying the bills and getting things done. As an artist, sometimes you want to be out there and be a part of those conversations, but as your character is also thinking, this affects my bottom line. And as an artist, I still have a responsibility to eat, to take care of my family, to keep the lights on. How do you, as an artist, and the character find a balancing place in saying, yes, I can speak on this, or yes, I want to address this, but at the end of the day, I have sponsors, I have funders, I have stakeholders who, if I step out the wrong way, the people that are fighting me, where's your checkbook going to be to keep the doors open?
Right. I don't know. It's just, it's a fine line, because it's a hard conversation, because there's not a yes or no answer to it. Because, I mean, for example, the character in the show, he's so focused on what he's been working for his whole life.
Yeah, the bigger picture.
Right, and that's tricky, because it's like, Because it's like, yes, I understand that. Yes, it takes 10 years to be, you know, an overnight success. Yes, that's what he says in the show. And like, yes, that's true. But at the same time, when you have and when you have that responsibility as a starving artist to pay the bills, but also, you know, you represent the company you're working for or whatever it may be, like, yes, there is that pressure. But if there's injustice happening within a community that you benefit from or that you support, you being silent is way more louder than you taking a stance of any kind. Like, yes, what the stance you could take could, you know, do it could lead to something that you weren't expecting. It could lead to you losing those sponsors. And that's all about the risk as an artist. And especially nowadays where we have so many artists who are silent for things that they shouldn't be silent for. And then we also have artists who are vocal about the things that they want, you know, that they are strongly believing in. And other people are like, well, we don't want that. So if you could take your opinion over there, we don't want it over here. So it's a fine line. It's not easy, but I think for me, at the very least, as an artist, you have to, if you stand on something, because art is emotional, art is political in so many ways. And you know, because I remember when I was growing up, I was always told that don't tell anybody your opinion. Don't tell anybody your where you stand. Just stay in line. Keep your head low.
We don't talk politics. We don't talk about money.
And you know, I mean, for 20 some years of my life, I did that. I stood by that, and I stood by, like, oh, everybody else over here has an opinion, but I'm not going to let everybody else know what my opinion is. But I think with this show, if anything has done it, if this show has done anything for me, it has reignited the spark of, oh, I do have opinions. Oh, I do have a stance on this. I do have like an emotional attachment to this because this affects somebody else in my life. So I think, yes, as an artist, we work so hard to get to where we are, to get to the success that we want. But if that success means that you are going to bring a whole different group of people down, and instead of lifting them up and supporting them, the people that did get you there or the people that helped you get you there, then that's just doing a disservice to yourself as a person and to the people who, like I said, got you to where you are. Like, there's a lot of artists who have certain cultures that have, you know, they've used certain cultures to get themselves to a certain level of success. And once they get to that level of success, when something injustice is happening, they are silent. And I think, you know, if you are representing a culture or if a culture has helped you get to a certain point of success, it is your job to do the very minimum and support them and stand by their side, no matter what the consequences are. So, yeah.
So to counter that, because I'm in agreement, but also it scares me sometimes as an artist.
Sure.
I feel like it is easier, the more money you have in your bank, the easier it is to want to have a stance.
Sure.
That, and then on the opposite side, I'm reminded of, as I'm about to use a cuss word, everybody, just one cuss word. As my mama would say, everybody has an asshole, but not every asshole needs to be in my face.
Right.
The same applies to an opinion. Just because everybody has an opinion, does that mean every opinion needs to be heard, and does it need to be heard right now? Or is there a strategy, as it feels like your character has? There's a time and a place for all things. Sure. Do I voice my opinion every single time? Or do I wait until I've achieved something, that I have something? Is it better to wait until you have something to lose, or to say it when there's nothing in your pocket?
Man, that's really hard because, I mean, especially with where I'm at as an artist, like, I don't have all of this money to, you know, take a stance on something. But I think as far as, you know, you see a lot of celebrities, for example, who just they have all this money and they could change so many things for certain groups of people, but they, they only are very selective on what they stand for and what they support.
And
And
is it going to advance me when I am seen
Sure.
on camera
yep.
doing that?
Yeah, is it going to take me to that next level, or is it going to give me that sponsorship and that limelight or whatever it may be? It's tricky. It's because it's not a black and white answer, because there's so many different factors to it. But I think, if you, and if like it doesn't matter how much money you have or not, like it's all about how you express your support, how you express it. And you could be the richest person in the world, or you could be the poorest person in the world, but if you don't stand on anything, then what's the point of it?
Yeah.
So
And is it better to be seen voicing your opinion, or to voice your opinion in silence? Which gets more done? That person that is in the background watching, but they're cutting a check to make sure that these protesters get out of jail, or these protesters have a lawyer, or XYZ has a scholarship, versus that person who's, trending on TikTok saying,
Sure.
guess what I just did?
Right.
Aren't I so great? That's the tricky part for me in a lot of the conversations that I see.
yeah.
What's the purpose of you? You don't have to, if you're going to bless somebody, does the whole world need to know you did it?
I don't think so. I think, but and I guess it just depends on the issue. But I feel like we're on a time in society where anybody, and I see those videos where like people like do good deeds for homeless people, and they give them like food or something like that. And yes, that's beautiful. But why do you have to show it on camera?
Yes.
Like, I feel like now the story you're telling me is that it's
I'm
fake.
so great. Look at what
It's
I
like,
just
yeah,
did.
and it's for a follow and a like and a subscribe. And I'm sick of that kind of culture right now, because why do you have to let everybody know how good of a person you are? Why not? Like, you don't need the social media. You don't need the cameras to show everybody that you're making a difference. I think if you are good to yourself, and you know your morals, you know your ethics, then you don't need a platform to show everybody, hey, look at I'm making a difference. I think just make the difference. Just take the action and do the change that you want. It's got to come from you. It shouldn't come from other people on the internet or people within your life.
And I feel like watching the show, that's a part of the internal fight
Sure.
between you
Absolutely.
and Hype Man. It's, yes, you want to put on this shirt and you want to, save Black lives, and you want to,
Yeah.
power to the people. However, these sponsors back here
Yeah.
are going to cut us a check. And with that check, it affects your life, my life, Peep's life.
I know.
Moving forward. So is it worth taking the risk, losing all of that, and going back to the bottom again when we've worked so hard to get to the top?
If it means the cost of other people's lives, then I mean, for me personally, and again, I've never been put in this position before, but I would like to think with my moral compass that I would be able to walk away from something like that. But everybody says that. So like, but whenever you are in that position and there is a lot to lose, it's tough. I mean, but like I said, if it's at the risk of people's, lives being lost and being hurt or punished or getting their rights taken away, I mean, now is a time more than ever to use that platform as a way of change instead of a way of selfishness. And because like at the end of the day, you could just say like, oh, I don't care about that. I'm just going to focus on me. And yes, that like you could do that, but you're not going to really have a lot of people in your life who are looking at you as genuinely authentic, because I feel like authenticity comes from the actions you do, not from the actions that you show everybody. Yeah.
And if I can't be there for you, what happens when I'm up against the wall and I need you or somebody else to be there for me?
And that's a conversation that Verb and Pinnacle and the show have a lot. Because Pinnacle, thinks that I don't need you. I don't need your cosign. I got this far with my work. I don't need you. And then Verb says to Pinnacle, like, do you think if anybody would have given you an ear if I wasn't there to help you?
To open the door.
To open the door.
Yeah.
Because then so you're going to use your friend for your advantage, but you're not going to help him in his cause. It's a whole different thing. So, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm hoping you all are watching this, and this is just a piece of the deeper conversations in this show. And this show is only an hour and 15 minutes long.
Super short. You'll be out before 9 o'clock.
You know what I'm saying? But when you leave, you're leaving with great conversation.
Yeah.
You're leaving with some really nice music in your head. And we specifically, and one of the things Charles did, because this show is done often up north. So there's usually a New York or Chicago or a West Coast feel to it.
Sure.
This show was intentionally done using the Texas approach to rap and hip hop. So it has a very different twang, a very different feel to it. But in watching this show, yes, you're watching a hip hop musical, but you're also walking away with a deeper conversation of not just internally us as artists,
Yeah.
but on a human to human level, what can I do in my everyday life
Yeah.
to make a difference?
Sure.
If I'm a teacher, a doctor, if I'm the garbage man, do I have a responsibility to speak out on something that I feel is injustice? Or is there a time and a place for me to wait for it? And I think that's such a great conversation, as we look at what's happening in the world today.
Yeah.
And this is a tricky. Number one, this is the month of February, and I know, I know people are like, wait a minute, Jubilee Theatre, you're doing your podcast in February, and you got the white man sitting up on stage. What the hell's going on? I know that's what somebody's gonna be asking. So that means you need to come see the show, because he's not the only person in the show.
Yeah. I'm just one of the three.
Just one of the
Yeah.
three. But it's also a part of that deeper conversation of what is our collective responsibility as artists, as human beings in the world. We look at what's happening, when Black Lives Matter was going on. We look at what's going on with everything that was happening in Minnesota and the places it's starting to go around. Yeah, people, making secret phone calls on people saying, hey, I think I know somebody that you need to pick up.
Yeah.
On which side do you fall, and who do you speak out against and who do you speak out for? And am I wrong to say no? Am I wrong to say maybe we shouldn't do this? Am I wrong to show up at a protest, and am I putting myself at risk of getting fired? And Dr. Martin Luther King once said, when you see a good fight, get in it. And I think it's about deciding for yourself individually, person to person, is this the good fight for me?
Yeah.
And it's today I'm going to join that fight.
Yeah. And I also feel like it's a perspective of what can you live with for yourself at the end of the day. And like, if there's one thing my mother-in-law always has said, it was when the most recent election happened a couple of years ago. And when she was thinking about who she wanted to vote, she said to herself, what can I leave as far as a legacy for my children? Do I want to be on the right side of history and say to them that, like, I did everything that I could, or do I just not even try? And then what does that look like? So, I think that's, especially now, like, with more people are starting to ask that question now, and I don't think there's a better time for this play to be put on than right now, is because it's this, it's all about like what you just said. If you see a fight, then, be a part of it, because that is where the change starts. When everybody comes together, whether what color skin you are, if you're a man or a woman or whatever
Red or
country
blue
you're from, we are all a unit. We were put on this earth for a reason. Like it's all about community, and it's always been about community. And I think, if anything, this show impacts that, of like this, like, yes, it's three of us, but we are a unit. We are a community. at the end of, we all figure out what our voices are and what we do stand for, and it all comes together as a unit and as a 3-person show and as that sense of community. So
For an audience, black or white, when they come to see this show, what do you hope they walk away? What's the conversation you hope they walk away with in their mouths as they cross the threshold?
I'd say as far as white or any white person that comes to see this show, as Charles said, he doesn't want anyone. We don't want anyone to change your mind. We don't think that this show is going to be like, oh wow, I'm cured. I understand everything. It's
The mysteries of the universe have been found.
Yes. Like it's not. That's not what we're wanting. We're wanting you to at least just walk out and be like, wow, I never thought of it like that, or wow, I'm going to go home and do some research, or wow, I'm going to talk about this with some family members over dinner or whatever it may be. And I think what's so hard nowadays is because of this whole social media and this left versus right and whatever, it's torn us apart from actually just sitting and having a conversation instead of saying something and then the other side being, oh, you're wrong. Oh, you're wrong. That's not the right opinion. That's mine, And I think, if anything, I want this show for white audiences, I want them to be able to see outside of themselves and to see, oh, okay, I hadn't thought of it like this. This is a different perspective I had never seen before, or this is coming from a person that I know in my life or I have seen in my life. So I think as far as white audiences, that's what I hope they get it from. And for black audiences, I hope that we do because I always said that this show is very much a love letter to hip hop.
Yeah.
And especially Dallas hip hop, with the way we've kind of like moved it. And Chris, it was so great being able to help us with that. And I think I want them to walk away feeling appreciation about their culture, and instead of walking away feeling like, oh, that was really heavy, instead being like, because we end on such a light note, and I want, African American audiences to like watch this and be like, wow, I'm proud to have this culture for me. I'm proud to know that hip hop culture has been here and will always be here, and that it is a way of bringing people together. So I hope that
and to expand upon that, I'm also hoping that one of the things I say often when I'm talking to audiences and greeting them at the top of a show is that Black history is American history, and
absolutely
the art form of rap, of hip hop, the music that we as African Americans have created. Yes, we've created it, but we've also given birth to something that is globally taken over the world.
Sure, yeah.
And that is an influence, that is us, but it's also something that is uniquely American, and that we all have and own a piece of it. Right. If not, Eminem wouldn't have a career.
Exactly. Exactly.
So before we get ready to roll out, come on out to see Hype Man, a breakbeat play. This show closes in 3 weeks. Our last performance is February 27th. We have a 3 o'clock show, so get your tickets now. Things are coming along well. Ticket sales are going up, so come on out. Let's engage in a great conversation and, even better, great music. Get in for a 7 o'clock show, be out by 8:30, go across the street to Mikosina or somewhere else and have a nice drink and enjoy the rest of your night. Come in for the weekend, do a 3 o'clock matinee, and just enjoy Sundance Square. So come on out. Let's have a great time. Let's be family. Let's be community. And let's have a great conversation. Before I do our traditional closeout, is there anybody you want to give a special shout out to?
Sure. Yeah, my wife Caitlin, and then my mother-in-law, my mom who lives in Florida, my sister, my brother, my dad, my whole family, and that's I would say that's my shout outs.
Because if you left somebody out,
I'm trying to think. I don't think I
you
have.
will hear about it when you get home. What about me? Was I not loved enough to be mentioned?
Literally. I'll be getting the phone calls tomorrow in case I did. But I think that's everybody for now.
I love it. So remember, beautiful people, jubileetheater.org. You can also give us a call Tuesday through Friday at 81. I'm about to do the Miss Kenya at 817-338-4411. So please give us a call Tuesday through Friday between 12 and 5, or just go online. You can go ahead and think about getting a Flex Pass, or just go ahead and purchase your ticket to Hype Man now. Tickets are going to be going fast as more word about this show gets out, and we don't want you to miss out on this show. We don't want you to miss out on this cast. We don't want you to miss out on this great conversation. Come on out and enjoy. And remember, as always, we are Jubilee Theatre. Be blessed.